Hey guys, this is Joe Romero from the Thales company. Wanted to talk about our HSM as a service, which is called Data Protection on Demand. And the whole idea of this is just to kind of show you the ease of use of accessing an HSM as a service as opposed to having an on-prem HSM that you have to install hardware, network connections, power connections, consumption of people in the data center, getting everything racked and stacked. So let's go ahead and access our DPOD portal, which is in a sense our marketplace for our HSM service. There's a second layer of authentication right now. It's going to prompt me on Google Authenticator, so let me grab that PIN code real fast to log in. Alrighty, so let's go over to the actual services. So this is our marketplace. This is our data protection on demand HSM as a service marketplace, just like you would see in AWS and Azure and GCP and so on. So the whole idea is offering HSM as a service, right? A lot of people are trying to get away from the on-prem footprint. They're trying to have things that are a lot easier to use, to manage, even to the point where, maybe staff reductions, especially in this crisis that we're in right now with COVID. Having something that you can remotely access to protect your private keys is on the top of everybody's list these days. People want to have a service. They want to go to a cloud service provider for certain applications. So the idea behind this is kind of to offer that, right? We've been in the HS business for over 30 years. We're the leader in the HSM business. So with that said, we wanted to offer our own cloud service for HSM as a service. So here's kind of the marketplace, and what we've done is kind of define different service tile offerings. So you'll see like CyberArk, digital signing. You'll see the Java Code Signer, Oracle TDE. These are just different naming conventions, right? So when you sign up for a service, essentially the HSM, the partition that's running under the hood, they're all the same for these different services, right? This is just kind of a nice way to market the different things that we have integrated with. We have over 300 integrations, so many that aren't listed here, but this is kind of the front page of our marketplace showing the different integrations that we have. So what I'll do is I'll say try this service. Kind of the different terms of the services. I'm going to say I have read and accepted. Click next. Service name. So let me just go ahead and call this DPOD test 321. The service name, DPOD test 321. So it's preparing that service. It's physically allocating me a partition on the HSM. The service client. So now I'm going to create the actual service client. We will just call this client 1. So the service client real fast is physically our SDK package, right? So our client software. When I go to create the service client, it's going to bundle up the client software that you're going to install on the application server. So the application server that's making a connection to the HSM, whether that be your CyberArk server, your Oracle TD server, maybe it's Microsoft Active Directory certificate services, you're setting up a certificate authority, you're going to physically create a client software package and then load that software on that application server, which is then going to connect to the HSM service. So I'll call it client 1, create client. So it's preparing that client service. Okay, so I'm going to download that client package right now to install it on my application server. So I'll say download client, save that file. Okay, It's saved. So let's go ahead and let's shrink this down. If I go into downloads, you can see there's my zip package that I downloaded. So that's my SDK. So let me go ahead and just copy that. I created a simple folder under the C drive called dpod for data protection on demand. I'm just going to go in there. I'm going to paste my package in there. I'm going to extract that package. And I'm going to call it client 1. Let's get rid of the setup-client. Let's just make it easy and call it client 1. Extract. You'll also see a CV client-min zip. You will need to extract that. And when you extract that, you're going to see on my screen, I'm going to extract that into the parent directory structure. I'm not going to create a new folder to extract this. I need to extract it to the current location. So let me go ahead and say extract all. And I'm going to backspace to put all the software in the same location, which is required for this to work. Okay, perfect. So now I have the full SDK. All my software is right here, same location, under dpod client 1 folder. And what I'm going to do now is I want to set my environmental variables, right? So this is going to set those variables so I can access the physical HSM service. So there's a little set env.cmd right here. I'm going to right click on that. And I'm going to say run as administrator. Okay, so that physically finished. So what I want to do now is I'm going to shrink this down right now. Shrink this down. Let's bring up a command prompt. I'm actually going to bring up 2 of these. Let's go over here and we'll go into that client folder. All right. Let's go ahead and do a Luna CM, which is a command executable that's going to basically reach out and access that HSM service. So by executing this command, it should respond and show me the partition that I'm authenticated to. Enter the command wrong. My typo, my bad. All right, perfect. So you can see that quickly, my server, my Windows server that I'm on, my 2016 server, I already have access to the physical HSM partition. There are some more steps. I'm going to walk you through those. They're relatively quick, but you know, the old school way. And don't get me wrong, there's still plenty of reasons and needs to have an on-prem HSM. But all that heavy lifting was shipping hardware, putting in a data center, running power, getting network set up, initializing the HSM. That could take days, if not, from hours to days, depending on resources. And we all know how that goes. Right now, my 2016 server now has a physical secure boundary, an HSM, that has been basically partitioned out to my server that I can access to put all my cryptographic material within that secure HSM boundary. So that's pretty cool. We got there pretty quick doing that. Now let's go ahead and do the other steps to kind of just fully credentialize this partition for initialization and setting the credentials for cryptographic operations for the crypto user. So let's go ahead and walk through that. Now, as you notice, there's a slot ID. So the data protection on demand service, that partition, will be functional on slot ID 3. So just wanted to point that out. So let's go ahead and we're going to set the slot right now so we can physically access it. So you type in slot set slot 3. All right, perfect. So now we're logged into that slot. And now what we want to do is we want to initialize and label that partition. If you notice right here, there is no label yet. So let's just go ahead and initialize and label that partition. Call it test 32. So now this is the partition security officer credential, because the partition security officer is the credential behind the partition. It is the officer that controls the partition policies, and also the initialization of the crypto officer. So we need to set those partition credentials for this user. Okay, so the partition security officer is set up, partitions initialized, and now fully labeled. So now what we want to do is let's go ahead and log in as that user, that partition security officer, just to validate that the credentials work. All right, perfect. So we logged in as a partition security officer. Now to kind of set the partition, when we're logged in as a partition security officer, it's a requirement to be logged in by that security officer to actually create the crypto officer credentials. So we need to first initialize the crypto officer and then create the credentials for the crypto officer. And that's all handled by the partition security officer. The crypto officer is going to actually be the role that does the cryptographic operations for key generation and such. So when your application goes to log in to perform cryptographic operations, they're logging in as a crypto officer, because only the crypto officer can perform those cryptographic operations within the partition boundary. The partition security officer has no rights to perform cryptographic operations, only the crypto officer. So let's go ahead and initialize the crypto officer. Enter a password. All right, perfect. So that has been physically set. Now with the crypto officer, it does require you to physically log in as a crypto officer and change your credentials one time. So before we can generate key material in that HSM boundary, we need to reset the crypto officer's password. So what I'm going to do right now is, since I'm logged in as a partition security officer, I need to log out of that role. So I'll do a role, log out. And now I'll log in as a crypto officer to change the credentials for the crypto officer. So role, log in. Okay, so I'm logged in. And as I said, I'm going to change those credentials right now. So we'll do role, change PW. Okay, so my credentials have been changed. So let's do this. I'm logged in as a crypto officer, so I'm physically access to the partition contents. So right now, as we know, we haven't generated any key material, right? Nothing's been generated. So if I do a par con, which is par contents, so I'm listing the contents on the partition, it should show me nothing at this point because there's nothing there. And as you see, no objects viewable to the crypto officer. All right, so there's nothing in the partition. So let's go over to this window right here. I'm also going to go into that directory, and we have, what I want to do right now is just kind of show you real fast. Obviously, we have the partition assigned. The crypto officer has been set up. The application server at this point has a valid partition where it can generate cryptographic key material within that partition as a crypto officer. So we have a PKCS11 tool. It's CLI driven, and I'm going to actually execute that to just kind of generate key material and show you how that's done. So it is called CK demo. First thing I'm going to do is type in the number 1, which will open the session. And then my choice that I need to list secondly is I need to log in after I open the session. So I'm going to hit a number 3 for login. And as I just stated, the crypto officer is needed to generate the cryptographic key material. The partition security officer cannot do that. So I want to log in as the crypto officer, which is the credentials I just created. So I'm going to select the option 1. It's going to ask for the PIN, which is my password I created. Okay, cool. So I'm logged in. And now what I want to do is I just want to do a simple key generation, which is option 45. So I'm going to type in the number 45. And let's just choose, for grins and giggles, let's generate an AES key. So option 16 is an AES key. Enter key length in bytes, 24. Okay, so that looks good. So now if we go back over, since remember, on this screen, I'm already logged in to the partition as a crypto officer. So now if I do that same command, right, which is par con for listing the partition contents, there should be an AES key within that partition boundary. Perfecto, there it is. So we physically just set up an HSM, we allocated the partition, we assigned the partition, we created the crypto officer, and we actually created key material. And I'm still under 30 minutes. So what I'm trying to show you is how fast and easy this is to integrate with your application server. For time's sake, I just wanted to kind of show you guys that real fast. What I'm going to do right now, just to be safe, is I don't want to leave that key material out there right now. This is just a test environment. So if you actually type in par, and I go over here, you can see all the commands. So if you look, there's a command that says clear. So I personally want to get rid of the key material out of there. I don't want to just leave it sitting out there. It was just a test for me to generate it to show you how fast I could generate key material in that HSM boundary on that partition. So let me type in par clear. It's going to ask me, do I really want to do this? Okay, so now it basically just blew away my AES key. So if I go list that again, once again, I'm back to having nothing inside that cryptographic boundary. So it's all gone. So guys, the idea behind this, and I know I've kind of beat it to death, but pretty cool, right? HSM as a service. You can just get it going really quickly. This isn't super technical. We've tried to make our cloud offering super simplistic. It's really that easy. Like I said, there's really not much more. Now, obviously, you have, depending on if it's CyberArk or Oracle TDE and so have you, there are a couple more steps that you have to do, right? So that's dependent on the application that you choose to integrate with the HSM service. But I wanted to just walk you through this today and just show you guys, this is an offering that we have today. It's been around for a while. People should really think about this, especially as applications get migrated to the cloud. Obviously, we know there's a big move to the cloud. In addition to, people just want to lighten the footprint of on-prem hardware. They're trying to move away from that footprint. For multiple reasons. Power consumption, real estate, staffing. A lot of these things are being downsized in multiple corporate locations. And HSM as a service is really that sweet spot to have that offering of an HSM with that cryptographic boundary of a service offering where you don't need to have on-prem hardware anymore. So anyways, guys, my name is Joseph Romero. I'm one of the sales engineers here at Thales. I'm going to post this. If anybody has any further questions, would like to see a demo hands-on, or would like to actually test an integration with one of their applications, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I would love to help. We're here to help you guys, right? We're here to make you guys have a safer environment. My goal as an SE is to help customers protect their data. And the way they protect their data is by protecting their key material. If key material is not protected, their data is not protected. So guys, feel free to reach out to me anytime. I hope you enjoyed this short video to show you how easy our HSM as a service is. And hopefully we'll be talking soon. Thanks, guys. Talk to you later.